Hi Sketchers, welcome. Thank you for joining me on my channel. I'm Toby and delighted to have you here because you've clicked on this video and that means you too want to sketch looser. And why wouldn't you want to sketch looser? Sketching looser means accepting mistakes and losing that horrible that little cloud of perfectionism which can follow us around and ruin our day all the time. It means being more creative. It means allowing some spontaneity and some of our own personality even to just seep onto the page. And it means, as Bob Ross would say, happy little accidents. Those things which we couldn't do on purpose but are so amazing and so beautiful. And we can only do that by loosening up, having fun and just creating. Don't forget, I've got a free course on my website as well as 2 really in-depth courses. So check out the description below, and you'll find a link to sketchloose.co.uk. Check it out. I might see you over there, but let's explore that subject of loose sketching, the way that we all want to just be more creative, have more fun. Let's see what we can do in today's video. So when you're sketching loosely, the first tip is don't overthink. So ink it, don't think it. Just let your line flow like a little rebellious river, or let your line take a wander. Remember that the mistakes which will happen, those mistakes are happy little accidents. If we just let them happen, if we work with them rather than against them, and if we just allow ourselves to express ourselves on the page, suddenly what we'll get is something so much more interesting, so much more spontaneous and beautiful. So with this tip, you can release those shackles of perfectionism which tie you down, and you can just go out and enjoy sketching anything. Loose, wobbly lines to produce big buildings, to produce small houses, to sketch people, to sketch sprawling landscapes. You can do it. It might not be perfect, but it will be fun if you just stop thinking so hard. Now you've got your loose lines on the page, we've got tip number 2. Get wet, get wild, have some fun with watercolours. Watercolours are this amazing medium. They are so unique and they just want to do their own thing. So let them flow. All we need to do is get a bit splashy with our colours. Don't overdo it, but let them move around and flow and seep and see what happens. You know, there's these things we like to avoid, like cauliflowers and blooms you might have heard of, scary things. But actually, in my style, I try and get them because they're amazing. They are absolutely beautiful, wonderful effects which can only be achieved through loose sketching. So basically, do not be afraid to experiment. Change your brush, use more water, change your colours, and see what happens on the page when you let your colours flow and dance like nobody's watching. Tip number 3 is negative space. Negative space is the unsung superhero of sketching. Instead of filling our page, what we do is we focus on those shapes around an object. And by doing that, we leave some bright white on the page. We leave negative space, which draws the eye or sometimes pushes the eye away, but it certainly creates an interesting and brave focal point. It's very tempting to fill the page, but perhaps just experiment with doing less. See what doing less suddenly does to your mind and your art. And you'll find, actually, negative space isn't something to fear. It's not lazy. It's amazing. Tip number 4 has got to be one of my favourites. Variety. Variety is the spice of, well, in this case, it's the spice of sketches. And variety could mean a lot of things, but what I mean is whatever tools you're using, remember your tools can do wonderful things. One pen can produce bold lines, thin lines. It can produce straight lines, wobbly lines. It can hatch, it can blot and black in. And when we harness all of these different marks in the right places and in a loose and experimental fashion, what could be a boring and flat sketch suddenly becomes lively, full of joy, full of fun. And oh my word, isn't it more fun to sketch like that? Isn't it more fun when we're exploring and just seeing what our tools can do instead of just doing the same thing over and over? So it might be a stupid analogy, but think of your pen as your little artistic spice rack and really just go for it. Allow yourself to experiment with all the different flavours it offers and see what happens on your page. And tip number 5 is practice. Practice like nobody's watching. because most of the time no one's watching. We might feel worried about our own style and we don't want people to see. We might think if we sketch outside that everyone's going to be judging us. But I'll tell you, in years and years and years of sketching, I've never had a negative interaction outside. I very occasionally have people say slightly negative things on Instagram and YouTube, but overwhelmingly, when we practice our art, number one, it's for us, and number two, people who art will always love seeing you, and people who don't art will be amazed at what you're doing because they just don't know how to do it. So practice like no one's watching, have fun and make it your own. This art is for you. So there you go, 5 tips for you to bring out your sketching superhero, get your confidence, get your skills and get your sketching going more and more and more. Remember, art is about fun. Art is about taking risks. If you're not making mistakes, you're not going to be doing anything brilliant either. So especially with loose sketching, just go out there and see what happens. And if you see what happens, I'm sure you'll generate some beautiful, fun, creative stuff on your page that you will not only have enjoyed doing, but also be proud of. So thank you everyone for watching my little sketching videos. If you enjoy my content, please do subscribe to my channel because it makes me really, really happy. Thanks again.